Hello everybody and welcome to another top 5 board gaming video. Today's topic is all about games that give you the best value for your spending. So this is a bit of a special one for a few reasons. First off, it was a request of Revenant. Secondly, it's a bit of an update because I previously did Bang for the Buck, and so now I've got newer games and more explanation and a couple other little things like that. And last but not least, I'm doing this as part of a mini series where I'm also going to have the worst value games. So effectively what I view this as is what are games that I have played that I find I get the most value for my money. I spend the amount of money and I get something out of it. I get the maximum out. This is a huge category, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It boils down to tastes in board games and all sorts of other stuff. But regardless, I really want to hear what you guys have to think. What do you consider to be a valuable game, and what are the most valuable games that you have, or what do you consider to be the games that have the most value? Let me know in the comments below. But with that, we're going to get started right off with my number 5. At number 5, I've got Cosmic Encounter, specifically the Fantasy Flight Edition and just the base game. Essentially, when you buy this, then you get a lot out of it. You get a bunch of alien powers, you get a bunch of abilities, a ton of cards, and so you get a lot of replayability, you get a lot of fun at the table, and you get just plenty of options. In addition, you've got expansions that you can purchase. The expansions are relatively cheap, which is great, and they add more and more and more value, especially if you've got a good group who enjoys playing the game. That said, the game is really negotiation heavy, so if players don't really like that interaction aspect, then it's kind of a tough sell. In addition, you need to have at least like 4 or 5 players. Right around there is the sweet spot for this, so it can be difficult to get something consistent, but it is my favorite game of all time, but I do recognize its limitations. Cosmic Encounter, my number 5. At number 4, I've got Kingsburg, more specifically Kingsburg 2nd Edition. The reason for that is because this is a great introduction to different types of worker placement, different types of Euro mechanics, building, resource management, and all sorts of other stuff. The 2nd Edition includes all of the stuff that the expansion for this, the 1st edition, had, where you have asymmetric starting powers, you have alternate building types that you can do and make, you have the ability to play a card so that you have less luck in rolling, and all of this kind of stuff. You are talking about a whole lot of games shoved into a very small package. But again, if you've got players who are not really into the Euro gaming, into the idea of worker placement and all of that kind of stuff, it can be a little bit of a tough sell, but I really love it. I will play it at any time personally. Kingsburg, specifically 2nd Edition, is my number 4. At number 3, I have a bit more of a category than a specific game, but as an example, I've got Vast, which is a great asymmetric game. So in this type of game, you have characters with different goals, abilities, resources, all sorts of different stuff going on. And so that means that every single time you play it, if you're playing as a different character or whatever it is a vastly different game. Vastly. But either way, there's a decent number of these that do it in various different ways. You've got Root, Everdell, Vast as a series now. You've got XCOM, a handful of others. I mean, you got Gloomhaven, but that's a whole category all to itself practically. The thing is that I love these games for value because it doesn't feel like the same game every single time. You get that with things like Cosmic Encounter a little bit, but with Vast and other things like this, you have such a different experience that it really does feel like a different game. Absolutely great to do, but they do tend to be a little pricier, so you want to make sure that you can get more plays in. Vast, Crystal Caverns, and by extension asymmetric games, my number 3. At number 2, I've got King Domino. This is a great game that has a really low price point, but it gives you a lot of replayability, and it's something that a lot of gamers can agree upon as well. You don't have a really big overarching theme. You have very simple mechanics that are easy to understand. You have some classic Euro style take that, but only to a certain extent, not to the extent that it'll necessarily make folks angry and upset and things of that nature. The game goes goes fast, you can learn it really quickly, and you can expand it a little bit into things like Queen Domino or the bigger versions and all this kind of stuff if you want. But just on its own, King Domino as the regular one, super cheap, wonderful game, easy to take out, practically a filler game, great example of getting value for your money, and my number 2. At number 1, I've got Forbidden Island. Talk about value for the money. This game is super cheap, and if you don't have it now, you should go out and get it. It's a wonderful cooperative game that gives you some great replayability by having a changing board that you'll end up with, where every single time you set up, it'll look different, but the goal is always the same and very simple. Again, it's cooperative, so it's a fairly easy sell to most groups. Very, very fast, very easy to learn how to play and what to do and when to do it and all that kind of stuff. You get some wonderful table talk and interaction, and it is a game that really toes the line between being punishingly difficult and actually playable and solvable when it comes to cooperative games. So I absolutely love it, not to mention the fact that it comes in a nice tin as opposed to a cardboard box. It's just wonderful value and a great game. Forbidden Island, my number 1. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this video on my top 5 games that give you the best value for your money. Again, for me personally, this is often about replayability and relative inexpensiveness. But the fact is that what my personal game group likes to replay is not going to be the same thing that your personal group likes to replay. So let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you judge a game on value? Do you judge it simply based off of the number of plays? Do you judge it by the overall experience of just playing a wonderful game one time? Let me know anything and everything in the comments below. I am particularly curious about this one because it is such a personal thing when it comes to assigning a personal value to a game. But that said, thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you are still in quarantine, stay inside, stay safe, be well. If you haven't done so already, please take a look at my various social media pages where you can interact with myself and my channel in a bunch of fun ways. But with all of that, thank you again, and I will see you next time.